there has to be an element of credibility. And when you ask questions and listen, you start to develop that level of rapport, that credibility with the other person. I mean, think about the people in our society that have that kind of credibility. Like your own doctor, your own physician that you've been going to for a while. That doctor has credibility with you. Why? Because the doctor asks questions. I mean, what if you went to a doctor for the first time? You didn't fill out any forms, you didn't talk to anybody, you're there in the room, the examination room, doctor walks in, takes one look at you and says, well, I'm going to put you on 3 medications, give you 4 injections, and I'm going to schedule surgery from a week from Tuesday. How are you going to feel about this particular doctor? Might make you a little nervous. Why? Because a doctor's offering a solution, doesn't know what the problem is. But what does a doctor do? The doctor asks questions. What's the first question the doctor asks?
How are you doing today?
Do you have insurance? You qualify? They start asking more questions. Then they say, why are you here today? I have a pain. Where's the pain? It's in my stomach. Is it a sharp pain or a dull pain? It's a sharp pain. When did it begin? A couple weeks ago. Did you eat anything unusual a couple weeks ago? Well, I did swallow 14 roofing nails. Aha! So then after this series of questions, the doctor has an idea of what might be the issue and then can start working on a course of action. And that's what I want you to be able to do. I want you to be like a doctor, like a highly trained surgeon performing a procedure we like to call a cachectomy. And you do this by asking the questions and listening. A few years ago, I was booked to do a program in Marco Island, Florida, by the Sony Corporation. You may have heard of them. Well, anyway, 6 months goes by a lot faster than you could possibly imagine. It's Monday morning, 2 a.m. I stroll in the house. I was out doing my research. And I see a blinking light on my machine. This is when I had a machine. And I listen to my brother Mark, my business partner. And he's panicked. He goes, call me. It's an emergency. I thought somebody got hurt. I call him. He goes, what are you doing in Columbus? I go, I live here. What's your problem? You're supposed to be in Marco Island. You got a program at 9 o'clock this morning. I said, you're nuts. That's next Monday. He goes, look at your calendar. And he's yelling. Said a bunch of words, a lot of them around snow. And I look at my calendar and my heart stops. Sure enough, I'm booked and it's in 7 hours. And I don't know to this day how I messed it up, but I messed it up. I totally messed it up. I called the meeting planner there. He's practically in tears. My boss is going to fire me. The whole program's based on your concept. And I said, well, let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. Just calm down. So I get out the yellow pages and I'm looking up charter flights. I know it's a long shot, but I'm dialing one number after another after another. Nobody is answering their phones at 3 in the morning. How can they run a business like this? Finally, in a 10th try, somebody answers. It's an air ambulance service. I said, I have a medical emergency. I need to be in Marco Island by 9 o'clock this morning. What's the nature of the emergency, sir? If I don't get there by 9 o'clock, a guy down there is going to kill me. You have a major credit card? I said, I have all of them. What do you need? Turns out they have these Learjet ambulances on 30-minute standby at different cities throughout the country. The closest one to Columbus was in Detroit. It comes with a pilot, a co-pilot, and a registered nurse. It's a package deal. They said they could be there within the hour, but it's just a 2-hour flight right to Marco from Columbus. Normally, when you take a commercial flight, you have to fly into Atlanta, then to Fort Myers, you take a bus for a day and a half. It takes you forever to get there. They could land right within 5 minutes of the Marriott where my program is. I said, great, I booked it. And I gather up all my books and my DVDs and stuff, and I rush off to the airport, and I grab also a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke to take with me because I drink one of these a day. It helps me calm my nerves. So here I am at the airport. Now we have maybe, an hour and a half before they're due to land. No, it's about 30 minutes. Excuse me, it's about 30 minutes before they're due to land. And I'm pacing back and forth, trying to figure out how can you make such a big mistake like this? And all my best friends are motivational speakers, and they give me all these positive affirmations to say, but somehow I go, you stupid, you idiot, you dummy. I know it wasn't quite working the way I thought. And I'm drinking this 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke out of the bottle because there's no cups or anything, so I'm just drinking this and, pacing back and forth. The plane finally lands. I'm still nervous. We get on board, we take off. 15 minutes into the flight, I just realized I drank a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke. Now, this plane has just about everything you could imagine. It's a tiny little jet, but everything you can imagine, except one thing. They don't expect their normal clientele to be able to get up and go. And I'm not their normal medical emergency, so there's no bedpans or containers on board, and I'm not going to survive another hour and a half. I'm already in severe pain. It's not like at 45,000 feet I just rolled down the window. The nurse sees what's going on and says, I have a solution for you. Aha, thinking outside the box. Catheterization. He said, let's hold that idea in reserve. I crawl up to the pilot and co-pilot. So what do you guys do on a long flight? The co-pilot had packed himself a lunch. Inside his lunch, he has a Glad plastic bag, Ziploc bag with a bunch of carrot sticks. He empties the carrot sticks out, hands me the baggie, and says, when you're done, make sure the strip at the top turns green. It worked great. I don't travel anywhere with that one anymore. I think you're going to need this one. Anyway, they land the plane. I'm ready to leave. The pilot says, how long are you going to be? Well, I got about an hour and a half. I'll answer some questions. I'll sign some books. I'll be done, 11, 12. Well, wait, return trip is free. Guess how much it costs one way going down? Any ideas? $15,000. Now, obviously, I didn't make quite the margin I wanted to make on that particular speech. But when I showed up, the client was thrilled to death. I didn't even speak yet, and they were happy. Now, why was I willing to do that? It was my responsibility to be there. I didn't care how much it cost me. Fortunately, I was able to solve the problem. Now, here's the benefit of that. Even though it was very traumatic at the time and very costly for me at the time, as a result of that, it went viral within the business community. That company called me back a number of times because it's a funny story. They're telling you what this guy he forgot, and I took full responsibility for it. And then it went to other companies, and from what I've been able to track, it's actually paid for itself tenfold. So it never costs you to take care of people. When you make a promise, it pays you in the long run. Found out later, if she would have catheterized me, it would have been a medical expense. I could have saved it.
I think he's hilarious and fun.
Very comical, but the comedy adds to the punchline.
Learning by his stories and his humor just makes it sink in a little more than if he's up there just being boring.
The only way for me to get rid of my hot potato is to ask Travis a question. How you doing? Now I can get rid of it. Now it's hurting him. This is 350 degrees. It's burning. It hurts. It's hot. Now, in order for him to do this, he's got to do two things. One, he's got to answer my question. Can't ignore my question. He's got to answer it, and then he's got to follow up with a question.
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, notice he didn't take a lot of time. When this is hurting, we don't want to sit there and give you our life story. I'm fine. How you enjoying yourself? I'm free. So whenever I ask the question, the hot potato's on the other person. The whole idea is to keep it on the other person. The more you get them to talk, the more successful you will be. The one who would begin the exercise is the one who's better dressed. Okay, you figure that out. Now, grab something you can use for a hot potato, a soda, whatever you have. You can use mine, that's fine. Just don't drink out of it. Now, listen up. Now, I'm going to give you some more instructions. Now, I'm going to say go, and I'm going to say stop. When I say go, the person's better dressed. Obviously, in your case, you are. Okay, so use my book. Okay, fine, you can rent that. Now, so you will start by, have you been on any vacations lately? No, I haven't. Have you? It goes back and forth, back and forth. This is going to go on for a minute. And when I yell stop, the person holding the hot potato loses. At that point, your partner reaches across and slaps you in the face. Not hard, it's just a love tap. Okay? So the object is answer and then respond again with your question as fast as you can because you don't want to be caught with the hot potato, which means less talking, not more talking. Okay? Topic is vacations. Better dress begin. On your mark, get set, go.
Jeff is amazing. He is hilarious.
Oh, he's dynamic. He's great to the T. He gives us some great information, some great tips, something we can take home with us.
There's been 4 or 5 great ones that I've written down. Really, really valuable content. Thinking outside the box. Ways that David can slay Goliath. Really powerful stuff.
I have to tell you, I can really relate to him. Where he comes from, what he's done in his life has really been something that I personally could relate to.
Stop! listen. We gather the information. That information gathering is critical. Matter of fact, there's a technique you can use that allows you to gather a lot of information, and it's real easy. You may have heard of it. It's called the echo technique. It's very simple. You're talking to somebody and you want more detail. You got to get some more emotions out of them. You got to pick their brain. So all you do is you wait till they're done talking, take the last word they say, 2 words, 3 words at the most, and repeat it back to them in the form of a question, and they'll rattle on with more detail. So it'll be something like, well, I'm going to be driving up to Detroit. Detroit, I'm going to be doing a presentation. Presentation? Yeah, a bunch of neat people. Neat people? Well, some of them are neat. Anyway, so you keep them talking. I remember I learned this from a buddy of mine down in Orlando. Taught this to me years ago. And I was so excited, the echo technique. I'm looking for someone to practice on. And I'm flying back to Columbus, and I remember my girlfriend is going to pick me up at the airport, who later became my wife. I thought, perfect, let's try it out on her. So I get into the car, she's driving. We take off, I looked at her, and I asked a question, how was work today? Which she really liked because I'm paying attention. Usually I just stare off into space and ignore it, but how was work today? Ooh, work was crazy. They sent this guy in from the main office to do a quarterly report. Quarterly report? Oh, they send them every 3 months to make sure we had our projections. Projections, oh, the last quarter was a little soft. We had our projections, we got a big bonus. Bonus, whole department's to go on a big trip. I kept it going for 20 minutes all the way home. I didn't say more than 15 words. I knew everything about her life, and she knew nothing about mine, which is pretty much what I wanted. She thought I was the most warm, sensitive, caring individual in the world. 1 year later, I closed the sale.
Very entertaining. I felt like I was at a comedy club, but getting a good message about communication as well.
I think he got a lot of inspiration from his business, and his style is freestyle, and I think he's fun.
Who do you think are the best people in the world at asking questions to get what they want, to be successful? If you had to pick one group of people, who are they? Children. Children. Absolutely right. I watched my daughter, my oldest daughter, who's now a lot older. I remember when she was, I think it was 6 years old. It was a half hour before dinner. And she goes up to her mother and she asks a closing question, a question designed to get a decision. Mommy, can I go across the street to play with Aaron? Aaron was her good friend. Mommy objects. Mommy says, well, dinner's in a half hour. I want you to stay put. You can play with her tomorrow. So notice that Mommy is responding with a statement and with logic. What does Amanda, my oldest girl, do at that point? Looks back, asks another question. Why? Well, I said, dinner's in a half hour. I want you to stay put. You can play with her tomorrow. Amanda comes back with another question. Why? Because I said so. Why? Because I'm the mommy. Why? And I counted the exchanges. It was brilliant. 16 times. How does a 6-year-old girl know that the 2 most important things of being successful is asking questions and, well, she wasn't listening, but asking questions and being persistent. And I just wish I would have had it on tape. And it wasn't until like 3 or 4 weeks later when I realized what it was that allowed them to do this. It's the books we read our children. I remember very distinctly, my 2 oldest ones were in bed, and I used to read to them every night before bedtime, and I was reading to them the sales and marketing book called Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. How many of you have read this marketing book? Let me tell you this story about this book for those of you who aren't familiar with it. This is a great sales book. I highly recommend you get it. We have 2 main characters. This is the cat in the hat. This is the customer, if you will. There's a salesperson whose name is Sam I Am. That's right. They have a new product introduction. It's a food item. It's green eggs and ham. Now, they don't quite bring out exactly why it's green. It might be an Irish promotion, or who knows. Maybe they just left it there too long. I don't know. But they got to get this guy here. This is the center of influence, this cat guy. And if he will just try, no, he doesn't have to buy them. He just has to try them. He wants them to try it. And if he tries it, he figures, great. So he uses a technique called the choice close. Now, the choice close is a very old technique. I don't like it too much because pretty much everyone's onto it. But for a 6-year-old, it's really brilliant. He uses the choice close. He gives them 2 choices, either of which is a yes. You know, like, well, you want delivery on Tuesday or Thursday. If they choose either one, you got the deal, right? So he does that. Would you eat them here or there? But he objects. I would not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them Sam I Am. That's a major objection. Most people would quit. Not Sam. He comes back with another. Would you eat them in a house or would you eat them with a mouse? And he objects again. I would not eat them in a house. I would not eat them with a mouse. I would not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam, I am. And he objects again and again and again, and a train in the rain and the fox in the box. It goes on and on and on. Guess how many times? Yes, 16 times. And finally, at the end of the book, he goes, okay, if you leave me alone, you don't bother me anymore, I will try your green eggs and ham. And guess what? He tries them, and what happens? He likes them. And because he likes them, what's he going to do? Eat them all the time. Repeat business. And then you know he's going to tell all his friends about it. You want referral business? He's got Horton, the Grinch, Clifford the Big Red Dog, Barney. Hate Barney. And he's going to build his entire center of influence. And kids have no fear of rejection, maybe forever. Well, actually till their early teens when they use the same exact technique. Well, would you like to go with me Friday night or Saturday night? Neither, geek. And they learn about rejection and get a job as a speaker.